Hello folks, my name is Mark, this is Why I Hate the World, how you guys doing? So, as this is being taped right now in Washington, Washington DC, there is one of the accusers of Brett Kavanaugh, Christine Blasey Ford, is testifying before Congress about her accusation, the attempted rape of her and, by Brett Kavanaugh and his friend Mark Judge when he was 17. And so far, there's been 3 women who have come forward publicly and have accused this guy of sexual misconduct. Christine Blasey Ford seems to be the worst. Hers is like an attempted rape, as far as I'm concerned. But the other ones, Deborah Ramirez is the second one, and Julie Sweetnick, I think. Sweatnick. And, to varying degrees of sexual, harassment, misconduct, and douchebaggery. Right. And what gets me here is that it's the Republican defense of Kavanaugh that is really kind of getting my goat here. So we're seeing, from like all the pundits, all the, Fox News talking heads and stuff like that, basically doing their best to smear these women, right? Trying to make it sound like that they're making it up, or, this happened 30 years ago, how can you remember it, blah, blah, blah. The best line I'm seeing so far, not the best line, but the most used avenue of attack, I guess you could say, is how come you didn't report this to the police? In fact, that's something that Donald Trump, our fucking president, tweeted that. He tweeted that, well, if it's as bad as you say, she would have gone to the cops, right? Basically, paraphrasing. And, as anyone who's even has a passing familiarity with sexual assault and rape, you know why women don't go to the police, right? Or victims of rape in general, even if they're men. A lot of the times they don't report it. It's because they're shamed. Okay, that's why. It's because they think that no one's going to believe them, right? They think that even if they report it, nothing's going to happen, and it's just going to end up blowing up in their face. And it's better to just move on. Okay, that's exactly why. Okay, and there's other reasons. Maybe they're afraid of retribution. Maybe they're afraid that if I say something, my family's going to get hurt or whatever, or the guy's going to hurt me, or who knows? But the biggest reason, the number one reason they don't report it is because they don't think people will believe them, and they just want to forget it ever happened. And it's like, so that's the biggest attack vector that the GOP is doing. How come she didn't say anything? How come she didn't say anything when he got married or when he became a judge and all this other shit? It's like, it's the same fucking thing that you hear every time someone defends a rapist, they blame the victim. I believe that these accounts could be credible, okay, because from my own experience in going to parties like this, I've seen this kind of shit happen, right? 1,000 times, maybe not the attempted rape there of that Christine Blasey Ford is saying, but the other accounts, I've seen that kind of douchebaggery happen all the time. Let's just kind of go over them. So, Christine Blasey Ford is basically saying that Kavanaugh and his friend Mark Judge held her down and covered her mouth, when she tried to scream and tried to fucking rip her clothes off. And she basically managed to squirm away because they were both too fucking drunk to follow through. And she got away. That's what she's saying, right? I have no reason to believe that that's made up. Like, why would you make something like that up, number one? Why would you do it, especially in this political climate when people are going to harass you? I mean, that's exactly what happened to her. She basically had to move. This woman, Christine Blasey Ford, had to move out of her place because somebody fucking doxed her and she started getting death threats. Right? And she started fearing for her family, so she's moved to another place. And, it's just funny how that shit always happens. Whenever there's like a public figure who speaks up against conservatives, they always end up getting death threats. Ridiculous, right? Why would you invite that on yourself in this political climate? You know, you wouldn't, right? I mean, that's the implication here. That's the that's the conspiracy theory, right? In fact, I'm already seeing it. Like if you go to places like, the darker parts of Reddit, our conspiracy, and places in 4chan, shit like that. They're trying to say that she's been bought off, because apparently there's a picture of her taking a selfie with George Soros out there at an event. So yeah, they paid her off to make up these lies. It's like, it's fucking bullshit. It's absolute fucking bullshit. I don't know. The second accuser, Deborah Ramirez, it's not as intense, her accusation. Basically, she says she was at a party and then Kavanaugh was wasted and he fucking pulled his pants down and shoved his dick in her face. Right? And she had to touch it to push him away. And that's her, yeah, that's a douchebaggy thing to do right there. I've seen shit like that happen all the fucking time, right? I mean, fuck. Come on, that kind of thing constantly would happen. And when I was a teenager at parties I would go to, right? The third accuser, Julie Swetnick. This one is really out there. Apparently, Julie Swetnick is saying that these two guys, Kavanaugh and Mark Judge, would go around and slip drugs to people, to women, and they would target specific women, like shy girls who didn't have, friends with them at the party, and basically roofie them and then rape them. And then, like, multiple guys would be in on it. Yeah, that's pretty fucked up. I mean, here's the thing about this, right? This could be verified, okay? Like, so if you believe it or if you don't believe it, whatever, it could be verified, right? The FBI could investigate that, find out, what party she went to, even 30 years ago. They can interview people, they can find out who was there, and if anybody saw it, if there were witnesses, right? I mean, I'm pretty sure you'd remember if you were at a party, even if it was 30 years ago, if you were at a party where a fucking gang rape occurred. Wouldn't you? I'd remember it, okay? I mean, fuck, that's not something that happens every fucking day, right? So, yeah, but here's the thing is that the Republicans won't even, allow that to go through. They're not even going to have an investigation about this or for Deborah Ramirez or Christine Blasey Ford. In fact, they've already scheduled the confirmation hearing, right? Not the vote, the confirmation vote. Right, and it's on Friday. It's basically less than 24 hours from now. They're going to have a vote whether this guy gets to be in the Supreme Court or not. No investigations, no nothing. Now just keep this in mind, okay? Because people are comparing this to Clarence Thomas, all right? And saying how, the same thing happened before. No, this is different, all right? Clarence Thomas, yeah, it was sexual harassment, it was bad, all right? It was some groping and name calling, and I think he put a fucking pubic hair in some coffee or some shit. That was bad, right? This guy, Kavanaugh, is being accused of raping another woman, drugging and raping women. That's what this guy is being accused of, right? It's an order of magnitude worse, is what I'm saying. Okay, it doesn't diminish the claims against fucking Clarence Thomas, but his are an order of magnitude worse, by far worse, right? This guy could be on the Supreme Court. He's going to be on the Supreme Court. He's going to be deciding laws that affect everybody, okay, about rape, all right, about women's reproductive rights, okay, about crime and sentencing, and what is and what isn't constitutional when it comes to policing and stuff like that. That's what this guy is going to be. We're going to have this guy making those decisions that you and I are going to legally be bound to, right? And it's somebody that may have engaged in fucking predatory gang rape. It's absolutely fucking ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And that's what really gets me the most out of this whole fucking thing is the way the GOP just doesn't care. They don't care. They don't want an investigation. Right. They're doing their best to smear these women. I saw a thing on CNN where CNN went to talk to some voters, right? They talked to the female GOP voters, right? And basically all of these women voters, they all seem to be older, middle-aged women who are defending this guy Kavanaugh. And one of the things that I'll put a link to this interview in the little bottom thingy so that you can fucking see it. One of the things they said was like, "Oh, what teenage boy didn't engage in this kind of behavior?" Right. First off, this is not normal fucking behavior. All right. I never tried to fucking rape nobody when I was a teenager. I mean, fuck. Number two, those women turned out in that CNN interview, all of them were GOP operatives. Okay. It's ridiculous. One of them was even ran for fucking office as a Republican. It's absolute joke. They basically have, gone into overdrive trying to muddy the waters, trying to, blame the victim and smear them and all this other shit. And in the meantime, accusers keep coming forward, right? Because that's the thing with this is that it's never just one woman. It's something that we should have learned from Bill Cosby, okay? Like, all right, now just a side note before we end, I just want to kind of say this, but then we'll end the video. I said during my Bill Cosby video that I made that I have a bias. My bias is that when a celebrity gets accused of this kind of thing, I usually don't immediately believe it, right? And it takes a little bit of time. I have to invest. I have to kind of read about it and see how credible it is. Right, because the reason is celebrities are rich and they're targets, right? For example, I don't believe that Michael Jackson was guilty of his accusation, child rape. I don't believe that for a second, right? And looking at what actually happened, in that case and how they try to get money out of him and all that, I think I'm correct. I think that whole thing was a setup to get cash from Michael Jackson. Now, I understand that this is a bias that I have, and, I'm guessing lots of other men probably have this bias too, right? But when you get multiple accusers, that it doesn't really line up, I thought the same thing when Bill Cosby was, accused as well. I thought, oh, okay, this is a woman trying to fucking blackmail him, and it went south, and he went public with it, and all this other crap, right? Then the second one came forward. Then the third one came forward. Fifth, sixth, seventh. And then how many women came forward in his case? Like fucking 17, 18? It was ridiculous, right? Yeah, then it's not so much. Then you're like, okay, there's no fucking way that all of these women are going to come forward with the same fucking story. And, no, even, that's a different fucking story. And I understand that this is a bias that I have, that's a thing that they say, feminists tell you that you should believe the woman automatically, and I understand that I have that problem. I don't, I don't think it's logical to immediately believe someone, especially when it comes to an accusation where it can ruin their lives, right? But, when you have multiple accusers, that kind of blows that out, and that's what's happened in this case, right? Multiple accusers have come forward with the same kind of pattern of behavior about this guy. It's like with each accuser that comes forward, the likelihood of a conspiracy against him goes less and less and less. And that's just like, use your brain. Four of them so far have, there's 4 accusations. It's like, are they all lying? Are they all being paid off? Are they all like part of some fucking DNC conspiracy to fucking like take over the Supreme Court? Bullshit. Okay, and you're already starting to see, at least I'm already starting to see the conspiracy theory memes and shit pop up about this. It's a fucking joke. And so I just want to kind of end with that, he's going to get confirmed. They can't stop it, unless some Republican out there in Congress steps up and has some fucking decency and decides to vote no, he's going to get confirmed. The likelihood of that happening is 5%. Seriously, there's like maybe 1 or 2 senators or whatever, Congress people, that might decide to not vote yes. Highly unlikely. And it's because, and I just want to end with this, it's because the GOP, the Republicans, they do not care. They don't care about you. They don't care about, rape. They don't care that they're going to put a potential criminal on the fucking Supreme Court, right? A potential serial rapist. Okay, they don't give a shit about any of that stuff. All they give a fuck about is their agenda, right? Because if they get this guy Kavanaugh on the Supreme Court, he's going to be just like Clarence Thomas. He's going to be a rubber stamp for all of the fucking social issues and all of the business like fucking changes in laws and stuff and regulations and everything. He's going to be a rubber stamp for everything on that Republican agenda. And for the first time in many, many years, a lot of the things we take for granted are going to be, threatened. Things like abortion, Social Security, right? Medicare, the EPA. I'm not kidding. This is the shit that they're going to go after when this guy gets confirmed. That's what's going to happen, right? They're going to start striking down the entirety of the social safety net to start with. It's going to be bad. And just remember when this shit happens. Remember a year from now when Roe versus Wade is in the Supreme Court, when the fucking EPA is in the Supreme Court, right? When fucking Medicare is going before the Supreme Court. Just remember, this was the chance to stop that shit. Anyway, adios, folks.